In this video, we're going to talk about how to use EFT tapping to release your fear of putting yourself out there so you feel empowered, confident, and radiant. I am Stefan Gonick. I'm an expert EFT practitioner from EFTalive.com. A big part of being successful when starting a new business or coaching practice is putting yourself out there and being seen. This may include creating videos for social media, or doing webinars, or speaking in front of a group of people, or doing networking events, or anything like that where you're putting yourself out in public. And the fear of being seen for many people can be one of their biggest blocks to being successful. This fear can cause you to sabotage yourself so that you come across as scared and insecure, or it can cause you to hold yourself back so you come across as kind of dull and less alive and less yourself and less compelling. Or it can be so strong that it can block you from starting your business at all. So what are some of the common fears and limiting beliefs around putting yourself out there and being seen? Well, one very common one is feeling like you're not good enough or not worthy so that people won't be interested in what you have to say. Or another one is feeling afraid that people will judge you and reject you. Or another common one is feeling afraid that you'll get attacked by people. And another one is that you don't feel safe being powerful. Now, in order to heal these fears and limiting beliefs, we have to have an understanding of where they may have come from in your life. So, for instance, if you're feeling like you're not good enough and not worthy so that people won't be interested in what you have to say, that kind of thing can come from growing up in a family where your parents weren't very loving. So if we grew up with non-loving parents, then the end result is that we feel like we're not good enough or not lovable. Another possibility is growing up with a really angry parent, because when a parent yells at us in anger, a lot, right? Not just once or twice, but regularly, then the unspoken message behind the yelling is, you're not okay with me. And again, that makes us feel like we're not good enough, not worthy. And also having parents that are very critical and judgmental can result in that as well. So if that's a limiting belief that applies to you, then you want to think about whether or not you have those kinds of things in your childhood. Now, the fear of being judged and rejected, if looking back into our childhood, comes from a couple different places. One is having critical and judgmental parents. So if you have a parent or parents that are very critical and judgmental of you growing up, over and over again, it's very natural that you're going to be an adult who's afraid of being judged and criticized, because judgment and criticism in itself is very rejecting energy, right? So that would create a fear of that as an adult. But here's another more subtle one. If you have parents that they themselves were fearful about what other people thought. So lots of times we'll have parents who express lots of concerns about, well, don't do that, because just imagine what other people will think. You'll have parents who just sort of model for you this fear of what people may think about what you're doing. So that can then result in you taking on that fear and having this fear of being judged and criticized by other people. Even if your parents weren't judgmental and critical of you, just if they had that fear, it's easy for you to absorb that fear. Now, the fear of getting attacked, there's some common sources of that. So one example is if you have a sibling, and sometimes from sibling rivalry, when you're getting sort of extra attention from parents or being praised for something good that you did, your sibling may come in right afterwards and attack you for it, out of this sibling rivalry kind of thing. So they'll think, oh, you think you're so great, and or they'll make fun of you, or some kind of negative attacking kind of thing. And that can create a fear that, if you're putting yourself out there and you're saying something really good, and of course the whole point of putting yourself out there is to invite positive attention about your business or coaching practice or whatever, you can have this subconscious fear that you'll be attacked like your sibling did to you. Another possibility is kind of similar, but at school, is sometimes if you do well in school, you can get picked on by other kids. So being picked on, again, is a form of being attacked by other people. Now, there can be other reasons as well, but these are two of the more common ones. And then the last one is an interesting one, not feeling safe to be powerful. So there's certain kids who are born with a kind of you can think of it as having a fairly powerful personality, right? And depending on the family they grow up in, that can either, if they have a good family that's very accepting and supportive of them being powerful, then they'll grow up being a powerful person. And they probably won't be watching this video, right? Because they'll feel good, being powerful, being a big presence in the room, things like that. And those people tend to do really well in business and coaching and stuff like that. But sometimes you'll be born as a powerful person, but you'll have a parent that doesn't tolerate that, right? So as you're having a big presence in the family, you might have a dominating parent that, isn't willing to tolerate having another powerful person in the family, right? Or you might get just some kind of negative feedback from your parents for having a big presence in the family, and after a while you start to kind of collapse and shrink down, and it doesn't feel safe to be out there, to be a big presence, to be lively, to be yourself, right? And so then, interestingly, as a powerful person, you'll tend to be ambitious, even though you had these bad experiences letting yourself really be yourself. And so you won't feel safe to be yourself. So you feel this sort of push-pull. So you have this feeling like, I want to make a big impact on the world, because that's part of my intrinsic personality, but I'm kind of in hiding, right? I don't feel comfortable with myself. But this is very addressable. So these are some of the common causes of having these different kinds of fears and negative beliefs that can make it really hard to be comfortable in putting yourselves out there. And we want to be comfortable, we want to be confident, and ideally, as I said in the beginning, is be radiant. So how do we do this with EFT? How do we heal this so that we can do all that? Well, the first step is, this is a 3-step process basically. So the first step is to identify which blocks apply to you. Now, you may have identified them just by listening to what I've said, right? And you go, oh yeah, that one definitely is me. Yeah, that one too. So, that's a good start right there. But a way to make sure you're getting all of the fears and limiting negative beliefs that may be holding you back is to do the following. Imagine that you are out there standing in front of people, either doing a public speaking kind of thing. We have like an audience of 100 people, or maybe you might imagine yourself making a YouTube video, something like that. But just sort of close your eyes and imagine yourself in the act of doing it, and then see what comes up for you. So what will probably happen is you'll just feel an initial flash of fear or wave of fear. And then you want to just stay with that, stay just in touch with this fear until you start getting in touch with what the fear is about. And it can be multiple things, right? You may have every fear on my list, and you may have fears that weren't on the list. I was just naming some of the most common ones, but you can have your own personal fears that are specific to you. And you want to stay with this for a while, right? Because lots of times 1 or 2 fears will pop up quickly, but that's not the whole list. So you want to write each one down and then set those aside, and just keep imagining that same scenario and see, okay, is there anything else I'm scared of? Are there any other negative beliefs that are running through my head? So you want to write them all down. So step 2, once you have your list of fears and negative beliefs, is to look for childhood sources of these fears and negative beliefs. Like, how did they get created? And again, I gave you some examples. And if those apply to you, fantastic. The other way, though, to get in touch with where this may have come from in your childhood is to get in touch with the fear. Pick one of them, get in touch with that fear, and then just start asking yourself, what does this remind me of from childhood? And the 2 most common sources would be in your family or other relatives. If you have grandparents that live with you, or you visited often, or aunts and uncles, cousins, things like that. People in your family. Another place to look is school. Think of any kind of experience that you got picked on. That's going to be usually a good source of creating these fears within us. But be open to be anything from childhood at all. So you may have some kind of interesting, unusual situation that created for you. So once you've identified where it came from, then you're going to want to heal example memories of those experiences, because often these experiences happen many times. Sometimes at school it can actually just be a single thing. Like a classic example is you did a show and tell at school as maybe a 2nd grader, right, 7 years old, and you're showing something and you drop it, and you're kind of fumbling around and it drops, and all the kids laugh and things like that. And that can create this fear of talking in front of a group, for example. Now, talking in front of a group live and creating a video, you're talking in front of a group, right? It's sort of this big, imagined group, but it's there's a lot of people. You're likely to get exposed to way more people on something like YouTube or Facebook than just talking in front of a group of people. So it can create fears of, looking ridiculous, looking like a fool, something like that, and having some kind of, humiliating kind of experience. So that might be a single thing that you can tap on. Things that happened at home, though, probably happen many, many times. Okay, so now once you've identified the experiences you had as a child that created a given fear, then you're going to want to start healing representative example memories of that experience using what I call first and worst. So first means, what is the youngest memory you have of being treated that way, whatever it is that happened, right? So you want to start by healing that memory using EFT. Then you want to start healing worst examples, worst memories of that happening to you. So it can be a little older than that first one. And, because these are going to be sort of reinforcing experiences that really kind of drove it really home and created that fear for you. So typically, you're going to want to heal around 3 memories. Of course, that's going to depend on how good you are at healing your own childhood memories using EFT. If you're not that effective at doing it, it may take you more than 3 memories, 4, 5, 6. When I work one-on-one with clients, it rarely takes more than 3 memories. Sometimes it only takes 2 memories, actually. And then once you just keep doing that until each time you imagine, talking in front of people, focusing on that particular fear, you want to keep doing that until the fear gets down to 0. And once it gets to 0, that fear is gone, right? So you're all set. And so you're going to want to work your way through all the different fears and negative beliefs that you have around putting yourself out there and being seen, being visible. Okay, now there's one more thing that you can do that's really important. See, once you've cleared out fears and negative beliefs, you won't be so scared anymore. You'll feel much better, and you will do a better job putting yourself out there. But that's not the best that is possible. Like, let's say you start out here. Once you heal the fears and negative beliefs, you'll come to here. But it's possible for you to get to here. So how do you do that? And you can do that with EFT. So the way you do that is, once you've cleared all the negative stuff, you think, okay, how do I want to be? Ideally, how do I want to be when I'm creating a video or speaking in front of people, things like that? How do I want to be? What's my ideal? And you start imagining, that way of being, and also imagine how you want people to respond to you. You might imagine seeing these, if it's in person, you might imagine seeing these really excited faces, like, oh yeah, that stuff you're saying is so inspiring. It's like, oh my God, yeah, big claps, all stuff like that. So you want to imagine, how you would ideally, ultimately want to be as you're presenting, and this positive experience, response you're getting. So if it's videos, you might imagine all these different likes and getting contacted by a lot of people. And then rehearse it in your mind, while tapping. So just kind of, pick a presentation, put yourself out there in your mind. So you can rehearse it while tapping on all your points. And you'll have one of 2 results from doing that. One possibility is that as you're doing that, you'll get in touch with some fears and limiting beliefs that you missed the first time around. Because as you're rehearsing being sort of your ideal ultimate self, if there's any remaining fears, limiting beliefs, they will come out. And that's fine, because we want to be thorough about that anyway, right? So it's like, I just got in touch with another fear. Or, I just got in touch with another limiting belief. So write it down and go back to healing that the way you did, the first round of all that. But let's say you feel you don't have any more fears, limiting beliefs that come up, and you just feel good. So you want to measure how good you do feel, and you want to keep rehearsing it until you feel better and better and better and better. You want to maximize your performance, right? You want to maximize feeling good, putting yourself out there, presenting what you have to offer. What does the business have to offer? What does your coaching have to offer? You want to imagine, as you're doing it, how well you can help people with either your business or coaching practice, and just feel your radiance start to really flow. Because it's possible to like double it, right? So you're starting here, you get to here, and you can double it to here by doing this sort of rehearsing and stepping into this empowered, confident, and radiant energy that is possible for you. So this is really cool. I mean, you really can heal this stuff and really dramatically turn it around, which is awesome. So if this is something you can try and do on your own, if you'd like help with this, you're very welcome to contact me on my website at eftalive.com. Also on my website, I have a free ebook that you can get called Heal Your Beliefs, Heal Your Life, using the magic of EFT. So for the part where you're doing limiting beliefs that come up as you get in touch with this, that book will teach you how to address that with EFT. I hope this video was helpful. If it was, it would really help me and other people to find the video if you take a second to like it. Also subscribe to my channel to get my latest videos about EFT. And keep tapping, and I'll see you on the next video.